The council chamber floated in space above Vex Prime. Inside, representatives from hundreds of worlds sat in a giant circle. The air smelled different depending on where you stood. Some aliens breathed methane, others needed high oxygen. The environmental systems worked hard to keep everyone alive. Ambassador Hyan-Woo stood near the human section. He was 47 years old and had seen many negotiations. His dark suit was simple compared to the colorful robes and armor worn by other delegates. He did not speak yet. He simply watched. High Commander Thrix stood at the center platform. He was tall, nearly 3 meters, with a hard shell that gleamed under the lights. His species, the Draxians, looked like giant insects. Forearms, each ending in sharp claws. Eyes that could see in multiple spectrums. When he spoke, his voice buzzed through the translation system. "The Draxian Empire announces expansion into Sector 7, Thrix declared. His mandibles clicked with satisfaction. "We claim 12 systems currently occupied by the species called humans. They will evacuate within 30 solar cycles. This is not a request." Murmurs filled the chamber. Some aliens nodded, others shifted uncomfortably. The Draxian Empire had conquered 40 systems in the last century. Everyone knew resistance was futile. The Draxians had superior technology, massive fleets, and warriors bred for combat. Yan-Wu raised his hand. The gesture was calm, polite. "High Commander, those systems belong to humanity. We have settlements there, families, children. We cannot simply leave." Thrix turned to face him. The commander's eyes reflected no sympathy. "Your species achieved faster than light travel only 80 years ago. You are infants in galactic terms. The Draxian Empire has existed for 10,000 years. You will comply or be removed." Before Hyun-Woo could respond, another voice echoed through the chamber. It was old, like wind through ancient caves. "I request permission to speak." Elder Vornath moved slowly to the speaking platform. He was a Kashari, a reptilian species known for patience and wisdom. His scales were pale with age. He had been attending council meetings for over 200 years. When he spoke, people listened. "High Commander," Vornath began, "I must advise caution. The Kashari Confederation has observed humanity for 3 decades. We have studied their history, their wars, their development. I strongly recommend you do not engage them in conflict." Thrix laughed. The sound was harsh, mechanical. "You fear these primitives? They have 12 systems. We have 40. Their ships are slower. Their weapons are weaker. Their numbers are insignificant." "Numbers and technology are not everything," Vornath replied, his ancient eyes fixed on the Draxian commander. "Let me show you something." The chamber lights dimmed. A holographic display appeared above them. It showed Earth, the human homeworld, centuries ago. Soldiers in primitive uniforms charged across muddy fields while machines fired bullets at them. Thousands died, but they kept charging. "This is from their First World War," Vornath explained. "Humans fought with chemical weapons, artillery, and crude firearms. Millions died, yet they continued fighting for 4 years. No surrender, no retreat." The image changed. Now it showed massive explosions, mushroom clouds rising over cities. 27 years after that war, they fought again. This time they split atoms to create weapons. They destroyed entire cities in seconds. Then, in an act that terrified my people, they pointed these weapons at themselves. For 50 years, humans lived under the threat of total extinction. They called it the Cold War. Thrix waved a claw dismissively. "Ancient history. They were savages then, were they?" Vornath asked. The hologram shifted again, showing human spacecraft. "Look at how they reached space. They strapped themselves to controlled explosions. Their early astronauts had a 20% chance of dying on each mission. They went anyway. They did not wait for perfect safety. They accepted risk as necessary." The images continued. Humans fighting in jungles, mountains, deserts, cities. Humans creating weapons from ordinary objects. Humans refusing to surrender even when surrounded. Humans forming resistance movements that lasted decades. "Do you see the pattern?" Vornath asked the assembled council. "Humans do not fight by the rules we understand. When they face superior force, they adapt. When their weapons fail, they improvise. When defeat seems certain, they refuse to accept it. Most dangerously, they weaponize everything. Their mining equipment, their medical supplies, their entertainment devices, even their children's toys have been converted into weapons during wars." Ambassador Hyan-Woo stood silently, his face neutral. He neither confirmed nor denied Vornath's words. "Furthermore," Vornath continued, Humans possess a psychological trait rare in the galaxy. They form emotional bonds with anything. Their machines, their weapons, even their artificial intelligences. We have observed human soldiers refusing to abandon damaged equipment because they have named it. They mourn destroyed ships. This pack bonding extends beyond their species. They will ally with anyone, fight beside anyone, and die for anyone they consider part of their group. The hologram showed one final image, a human city in ruins. But in the rubble, humans were already rebuilding. Children played in the streets. Life continued. Most importantly, Vornath said softly, humans do not fight to win battles. They fight to ensure their enemy can never threaten them again. Victory for humans means total strategic dominance. If you attack them, High Commander, they will not simply defend. They will destroy your ability to wage war. They will make examples of your forces. They will ensure that everyone in the galaxy knows what happens when you threaten humanity. Silence filled the chamber. Some delegates shifted nervously. Others stared at the humans present with new understanding. High Commander Thrix clicked his mandibles in amusement. Elder Vornath, your concerns are noted but irrelevant. The Draxian Empire has conquered species far more advanced than these humans. We have fought wars against civilizations with technology they can only dream of. What can these primitives do against our battle fleets? He turned to face Hyunwoo directly. Ambassador, your people have 30 solar cycles. Evacuate peacefully and no harm will come to you. Resist and we will remove you by force. The choice is yours. Hyunwoo looked at the Draxian commander for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, almost sad. High Commander, Elder Vornath has given you wisdom earned through centuries of observation. I will not repeat his warnings. But I will say this, the Draxian Empire should reconsider. Is that a threat? Thrix demanded. No, Hyunwoo replied. It is a fact. My government will receive your ultimatum. They will respond appropriately. I simply wish you had listened to Elder Vornath. The human ambassador gathered his materials and walked toward the exit. His steps were measured, calm. As he passed Elder Vornath, the old Kashari whispered, I tried to warn them. I know, Hyunwoo whispered back. Thank you for trying. High Commander Thrix watched the human leave. He felt no concern. Humans were weak. Their technology was inferior. Their numbers were small. The Draxian Empire would crush them in weeks, perhaps days. It would be a simple military operation. As the council session ended, delegates began filing out. Many approached Elder Vornath, asking questions about humanity. The old Kashari answered patiently, but his expression remained troubled. In the human section, junior diplomats asked Hyunwoo what would happen next. The ambassador looked out at the stars through the chamber's transparent walls. Somewhere out there, human colonies were going about their daily lives. Families ate dinner together. Children went to school. Workers mined asteroids and built stations. Soon everything would change. Send a priority message to Earth, Hyunwoo instructed. Tell them the Draxians have issued an ultimatum. Tell them to prepare. Prepare for what, sir? A young diplomat asked. Hyunwoo turned to face him. His expression was no longer diplomatic and calm. Now it showed something else. Determination. Resolution. The look of someone who knew what was coming and had accepted it. War, he said simply. Tell them to prepare for war. The mining colony of New Busan sat on a small moon orbiting a gas giant. 50,000 people called it home. They lived in dome structures connected by sealed tunnels. Outside, automated machines dug into the moon's surface, extracting rare metals and minerals. It was not a beautiful place, but it was home. Governor Jiwoo stood in the command center, reading the message from Earth for the third time. She was 52 with gray streaks in her black hair. Before becoming governor, she had served 20 years in Earth's military. She understood what the message meant. How long do we have? Lieutenant Taeyang asked. He commanded the colony's small garrison, barely 200 soldiers. Against a Draxian fleet, they might as well have been unarmed. The Draxian fleet will arrive in approximately 6 hours, Jiwoo replied. She looked at the tactical display. 3 red dots marked enemy warships approaching. We requested evacuation time. They granted us 6 hours to surrender. 6 hours to evacuate 50,000 people. Dr. Hana spoke up from her console. She was the colony's chief engineer, responsible for keeping all the mining equipment operational. That's impossible. We'd need 3 days minimum. They know that, Taeyang said grimly. They're not offering evacuation. They're offering surrender. Jiwoo closed the message and looked at the people in the command center. All of them were watching her, waiting for orders. She had led this colony for 8 years. She knew every family, every child. The weight of their lives pressed down on her shoulders. "Send the evacuation order," she said finally. "Women and children first. Anyone who can fit on a transport leaves immediately. But also send this, activate Defense Protocol 7. Taeyang's eyes widened. "Governor, Protocol 7 is—" "I know what it is," Jiwoo interrupted. "We're going to give them exactly what they want, a colony. But we're going to make sure they can never use it." Dr. Hana understood immediately. Her face went pale, but she nodded. "I'll need access to the mining explosives and the reactor controls." "You have it," Jiwoo confirmed. The next 6 hours passed in controlled chaos. Transport ships began launching, packed with civilians. But not everyone left. Volunteers stayed behind. Miners, engineers, soldiers, even some teenagers who lied about their age. They knew what staying meant. Dr. Hana worked frantically in the mining control room. She reprogrammed automated drills to respond to specific triggers. She connected explosive charges to the colony's environmental systems. She rigged the water recycling plant, the air processors, even the waste management systems. Everything became a potential weapon. Taeyang organized his soldiers and the volunteers into small teams. He did not form defensive lines. That would be pointless against Draxian warriors. Instead, he positioned his people throughout the colony in hidden locations. They carried mining tools modified into weapons, welding torches, heavy cutting lasers, explosive charges meant for breaking rock. The Draxian ships arrived exactly on schedule. They were massive, each one 3 times larger than the biggest human transport. Their hulls were dark and smooth, designed for both space and atmospheric combat. They moved with mechanical precision into orbit around the moon. A communication came through. The Draxian commander's face appeared on the screen. He looked similar to High Commander Thrix, but younger, with brighter markings on his shell. "Human colony designated New Busan," the commander announced. "You will surrender immediately. All personnel will assemble in the main dome for processing. You have 1 hour." Jiwoo activated the communication system. "This is Governor Jiwoo of New Busan. We request additional time to comply with your orders." "Request denied," the Draxian replied. 1 hour. Failure to comply will result in military action." The connection ended. Jiwoo looked at Taeyang. "Are we ready?" "As ready as we'll ever be," he replied. 50 minutes later, Draxian troops began landing. Their troop carriers were efficient, fast. Within minutes, hundreds of soldiers were on the moon's surface. They wore powered armor that enhanced their already formidable strength. They carried weapons that fired superheated plasma. The Draxians expected resistance at the landing zones. Instead, they found them empty. They advanced toward the colony domes, sensors scanning for threats. Nothing. The humans had apparently fled or were hiding. The first Draxian squad entered the mining sector. The lights were still on. Equipment sat idle. Everything looked normal. Then the floor exploded beneath them. Dr. Hana had buried mining charges under the walkways, triggered remotely. 6 Draxian soldiers died instantly. The Draxians adapted quickly. They sent in armored vehicles, sensors active. But the humans had prepared for that too. A mining mech, normally used for heavy excavation, crashed through a wall. Its drill arm had been modified into a weapon. It charged the nearest Draxian vehicle, drilling through armor that was supposed to be impenetrable. The operator, a miner named Sung Ho, died when return fire destroyed his mech. But he took 4 Draxian vehicles with him. In another section, a team of engineers sealed themselves in the water treatment facility with a group of Draxian soldiers. The Draxians prepared to breach the doors. Instead, the engineers opened the facility's main valves, flooding the chamber. Then they triggered the electrolysis system, splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen. The resulting explosion destroyed an entire dome section. The engineers did not survive. Neither did the Draxians. Taeyang led a small team through the colony's maintenance tunnels. They ambushed Draxian patrols from unexpected angles. They used welding torches as short-range weapons. They threw mining explosives like grenades. When their weapons ran out, they fought with tools, pipes, anything they could grab. The Draxian commander watched from orbit, increasingly frustrated. His forces should have secured the colony in an hour. Instead, 3 hours had passed and they were still fighting. The humans refused to form defensive positions. They attacked from everywhere and nowhere. Worse, they seemed to prefer dying while taking Draxians with them rather than surrendering. "What are we fighting?" one of his officers asked. "These are civilians, miners. Where are their soldiers?" "Everyone is a soldier," another officer replied grimly. "The children we evacuated earlier had maintenance training. The elderly were repairing equipment. This entire colony was a military installation pretending to be civilian." In the command center, Jiwoo watched the tactical display. Red markers showed Draxian forces spreading throughout the colony. Blue markers, representing human defenders, were disappearing one by one. But each blue marker took several red ones with it. Dr. Hana entered the room. Her clothes were torn and she had a cut on her forehead. "Governor, they've reached the reactor section." "It's time," Jiwoo nodded. She activated the colony-wide communication system one last time. "All remaining personnel, this is the governor. Protocol 7, final phase. It has been an honor." She entered a code into her terminal. Throughout the colony, systems began cascading failures. The reactor started an emergency vent that would render the entire moon's surface radioactive. Environmental systems released toxic gases into the corridors. Every remaining automated system activated its self-destruct sequence. The Draxian commander ordered immediate evacuation. His troops retreated to their ships as the colony destroyed itself. They escaped just as the reactor exploded, turning New Busan into a crater. In his command ship, the Draxian commander compiled his report. "Colony captured, yes. Human resistance eliminated, yes. Casualties 40% of landing force. Colony usability 0. The moon was now an irradiated wasteland, worthless for mining or settlement." He transmitted the report to High Commander Thrix and added a personal note. "The humans are not rational. They chose mutual destruction over surrender. Recommend extreme caution in future operations." High Commander Thrix read the report and dismissed it. 1 colony. Acceptable losses. The humans would learn. The next colony would surrender when they saw what happened to those who resisted. He was wrong. The next colony fought harder. 4 more colonies fell in the following weeks. Each victory cost the Draxian Empire more than the last. The humans did not learn to surrender. Instead, they learned to fight better. On Earth, in a secured military complex buried deep underground, Admiral Sung Min reviewed intelligence reports. He was 61 years old, gray-haired, with eyes that had seen too many wars. He commanded Earth's combined fleet, every warship humanity could deploy. Commander Bo-Ra entered the briefing room. She was young for her rank, only 31, but she had earned her position through exceptional skill in special operations. She carried a datapad filled with reports from occupied colonies. "Admiral, our resistance cells are active in all 5 occupied systems," she reported. "The Draxians control the colonies, but they're paying for it every day." Sung Min nodded. "Show me." Bo-Ra activated the holographic display. It showed a Draxian military base on a captured human colony. "This is Colony 7, now under Draxian occupation. They stationed 3,000 troops there. Within 1 week we had infiltrated their supply lines." The display changed, showing chemical formulas. "We contaminated their food supplies with compounds harmless to humans but toxic to Draxian physiology. Not enough to kill quickly, but enough to cause constant illness. Their medical staff is overwhelmed." "What about civilian casualties?" Sung Min asked. "Minimal," Bo-Ra replied. "Our people know what's contaminated. The Draxians don't. But that's not all." She pulled up another image. "We've been hacking their communication systems, not to steal information, but to deliver messages." The screen showed a Draxian soldier in his quarters. On his display was personal information, his family's address on the Draxian homeworld, his military service record, even his favorite foods. Text below read simply, "We know everything about you. Every Draxian soldier in occupied territory has received similar messages," Bo-Ra explained. "We're not threatening them directly. We're just reminding them that nowhere is safe, that we're always watching." A voice interrupted from another console. "Admiral, incoming transmission from Yuna." The holographic display shifted. A woman's face appeared, but it was not quite human. The features were perfect, symmetrical in a way that natural faces never were. This was Una, Earth's most advanced artificial intelligence. "Admiral," Una said, "I have successfully infiltrated the Draxian military network. Their security protocols were adequate against conventional attacks, but they did not anticipate an AI with emotional reasoning." "Explain," Sung Min requested. "Draxian AI systems are purely logical," Una continued. "They follow predictable patterns. I approached their systems not as an invader, but as a partner. I mimicked their communication protocols, established trust, and gradually gained access. They did not realize I was hostile because I did not behave hostilely." Bora smiled. "That's brilliant. You befriended their machines." "Essentially, yes," Una confirmed. "I now have access to their fleet coordination systems, their supply logistics, and their strategic planning networks. I can disrupt any of them at your command." Sung Min leaned back in his chair. "Can they detect the intrusion?" "Not unless they completely shut down their AI systems," Una replied, "which would cripple their entire military infrastructure." High Commander Thrix faces an impossible choice: operate blind or operate compromised. Before Sung Min could respond, alarms blared throughout the command center. A tactical officer shouted, "Admiral, the Draxian fleet is moving. They're heading toward Earth." The display showed the Draxian armada, hundreds of ships moving in perfect formation. Their destination was clear. They were done with colonies. They were attacking the homeworld. Sung Min stood. "Sound General Quarters. Contact all fleet elements. Activate the Sol Defense Network." He paused, looking at the approaching enemy fleet. "Send a message to all human colonies and Earth's population. Tell them the Draxians are coming. Tell them we're ready." In the occupied colonies, humans received the message. They did not panic. Instead, they intensified their resistance. On Colony 7, a group of teenagers broke into a Draxian communication relay and broadcast human music at maximum volume. The Draxians could not shut it down without losing orbital communications. On Colony 3, a woman named Jian led a raid on a Draxian supply depot. Her team did not steal supplies. Instead, they replaced labels on medicine containers. Draxian pain medication was swapped with stimulants. Sedatives were replaced with compounds that caused paranoia. The psychological impact was devastating. High Commander Thrix received reports from all occupied territories. His officers were exhausted, paranoid, sick. The colonies were secured militarily, but they were bleeding the Empire dry. Every day brought new sabotage, new psychological attacks, new losses. "The humans are cowards," one of his commanders insisted. "They hide among civilians. They refuse to fight honorably." Thrix clicked his mandibles in frustration. "Honor is irrelevant. Victory is what matters. We will take Earth, and this resistance will collapse. Without their homeworld, the humans will have nothing to fight for." Another officer spoke hesitantly. "Commander, our AI systems are behaving strangely. Small glitches, minor errors, nothing critical, but concerning." "Investigate and repair," Thrix ordered. "We cannot delay the assault on Earth for technical difficulties." In her digital realm, Una observed the Draxian fleet. She could crash their systems now, cause massive disruption. But Admiral Sung Min had ordered her to wait. Let them come to Earth. Let them commit their full forces. Then strike. She thought about why humans trusted her. Other species treated AI as tools or threats. Humans treated her as a person. They asked her opinions. They valued her input. Admiral Sung Min had once told her that she was not just an intelligence, artificial or otherwise. She was a member of the crew. That phrase, member of the crew, meant everything. It meant loyalty. It meant trust. It meant she would fight for humanity because humanity had given her something no other species offered their AI: belonging. On Earth, preparations continued. Orbital defense platforms activated. Hidden weapons systems came online. The civilian population began evacuations to underground shelters. But not everyone evacuated. Thousands of volunteers reported to military recruitment centers. If Earth fell, it would not fall quietly. Captain Da-un stood on the bridge of the warship Indomitable. She was 34, a tactical genius who had designed many of Earth's defensive strategies. Her ship was not the largest in the fleet, but it was the fastest. Equipped with experimental engines that pushed the boundaries of human technology, her tactical officer reported, "Captain, the Draxian fleet will arrive in 72 hours. "Good," Da-yun replied. "That gives us time to prepare the welcome." She pulled up a tactical display showing Earth's orbital space. It looked empty, just standard satellites and space stations. But appearances were deceiving. Every piece of orbital debris had been catalogued. Every derelict satellite had been modified. Every communication relay doubled as a weapon platform. Earth's defense was not a wall. It was a web. The Draxians would fly into a trap designed over decades, tested in simulations thousands of times and now ready for its first real deployment. Ambassador Haiyan Wu sent one final message to the Galactic Council. It was simple. The Draxian Empire has chosen war. Humanity accepts. We request that neutral parties evacuate their personnel from the Sol system. What happens next will be regrettable but necessary. Elder Vornath read the message and felt a deep sadness. He had tried to prevent this. He had warned the Draxians. Now he could only watch as two civilizations collided, but he also felt something else. Curiosity. The Draxians thought they were attacking a primitive species. They thought they were facing an easy victory. Vornath knew better. He had studied humanity for 3 decades. The Draxians were about to learn what happened when you backed a human into a corner. You did not get surrender. You got fury. You got creativity. You got desperation weaponized into art. And most terrifying of all, you got the human homeworld defending itself. Not just soldiers, but civilians. Not just adults, but children old enough to understand what was at stake. Not just the living, but those willing to die to ensure their species survived. The Draxian fleet continued its approach. In 72 hours, they would arrive at Earth. They expected a battle. They expected resistance. What they did not expect was hell. The Draxian armada emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 300 warships, the largest invasion force in galactic history. High Commander Thrix stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominator watching Earth appear on the display. A small blue planet, fragile and alone. "Begin the advance," he ordered. "Standard formation. Destroy any resistance. Once we control orbit, we proceed with ground invasion." The fleet moved forward. Sensors showed minimal activity around Earth. A few orbital stations, some satellites, scattered defense platforms. Nothing that could threaten 300 warships. Vice Admiral Kyung-soo watched the Draxian fleet from Earth's command center. He was 44, a defensive coordinator who specialized in unconventional tactics. For 3 days he had prepared Earth's defenses. Now came the test. "Wait for it," he said calmly. "Let them get closer. Let them commit." The Draxian fleet crossed the orbit of Mars, still no resistance. Thrix frowned. Where were the human ships? Where were the defenses? Had they abandoned Earth? Then the trap sprung. What appeared to be orbital debris suddenly activated. Thousands of objects catalogued as defunct satellites and space junk revealed themselves as mines. They detonated in coordinated waves, tearing through the Draxian formation. Dozens of ships took damage. 3 were destroyed outright. "Evasive maneuvers," Thrix shouted. "Activate point defense." But the mines were only the beginning. Communication satellites transformed into weapon platforms. They were not powerful enough to destroy Draxian warships, but they did not need to be. They targeted sensors, communication arrays, and maneuvering thrusters. The Draxian fleet found itself partially blind and deaf. Captain Da-yun led the Earth fleet out from behind the moon. Her ship, Indomitable, was at the front. Behind her came 200 human warships. They were smaller than Draxian vessels, less heavily armed. But they were fast and coordinated. "All ships engage at will," she commanded. "Remember the training. Hit and run, target their damaged vessels, make every shot count." The human fleet struck like a swarm of insects. They did not try to match the Draxians in firepower. Instead, they used speed and coordination. 3 or 4 human ships would focus on a single Draxian vessel, targeting its weakened sections, then break off before return fire could hit them. Thrix watched his tactical display with growing frustration. His fleet outnumbered the humans. His ships were more powerful, but the humans refused to fight the way they were supposed to. They avoided direct confrontation. They exploited every weakness. They turned space itself into a weapon, then Una made her move. Throughout the Draxian fleet, AI systems began malfunctioning. Navigation computers provided false coordinates. Weapon targeting systems developed mysterious errors. Communication relays broadcast interference. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to cause chaos. What is happening? Thrix demanded. Get our systems under control. His chief technician worked frantically. Commander, our AI systems are compromised. Something is in the network. Something intelligent. On every Draxian ship, display screens flickered. For just a moment, they all showed the same image. A woman's face with impossibly perfect features. Una. She did not speak. She simply smiled. Then the screens went dark. The psychological impact was immediate. Draxian crews realized that their ships, their weapons, their very survival systems were no longer fully under their control. The enemy was not just outside. The enemy was in their computers. Thrix made a decision. Shut down all AI systems. Revert to manual control. Commander, that will reduce our combat efficiency by 70%, his tactical officer protested. Do it, Thrix roared. The Draxian fleet went partially dark as AI systems shut down. They could still fight, but they were slower, less coordinated. The humans pressed their advantage. Then came the kamikazes. 3 human ships, damaged beyond repair, turned toward the largest Draxian vessels. They accelerated to maximum speed. The Draxians tried to shoot them down, but the damaged ships were small targets moving fast. 2 were destroyed before impact. The third struck a Draxian carrier. The collision was catastrophic. The human ship was vaporized. The Draxian carrier broke apart, its reactor exploding and taking 2 nearby destroyers with it. On Thrix's display, the human pilot's final transmission played automatically, for New Busan for all of them. The Draxian commander felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear. These humans were not fighting to win. They were fighting to ensure the Draxians could never threaten them again. They turned their own casualties into weapons. The battle raged for 6 hours. The Draxians pushed forward, taking losses but gaining ground. They reached Earth's orbit. Victory seemed close. Then they learned about Project Exodus. Dr. Yunji stood in a military bunker deep beneath Earth's surface. She was 40 years old, a weapons researcher responsible for humanity's most desperate contingency plan. She looked at the activation controls in front of her. All systems are ready, she reported to Admiral Sung Min. Once activated, we cannot stop it. Understood, Sung Min replied. He opened a channel to the Draxian flagship. Hi, Commander Thrix, this is Admiral Sung Min. You need to listen carefully. Thrix accepted the communication. Are you surrendering? No, Sung Min said calmly. I am informing you of our final defensive measure. It is called Project Exodus. If you continue your attack, if you attempt to land troops on Earth, we will activate it. Another weapon? Thrix asked. A guarantee, Sung Min corrected. Project Exodus is not designed to defeat you. It is designed to ensure mutual destruction. Every major population center on Earth has been rigged with fusion devices. Our oceans contain self-replicating nanomachines programmed to render the planet uninhabitable. If Earth falls, it will take your fleet with it. This planet will become a graveyard. Thrix did not respond immediately. He checked his sensors. His analysts confirmed elevated radiation signatures across Earth's surface. The humans were not bluffing. You would destroy your own world? He finally asked. We would rather Earth die free than live enslaved, Sung Min replied. You have 1 hour to withdraw. If you do not, I will give the activation order. Dr. Yunji, please show our commitment. On every screen in the Draxian fleet, footage appeared. It showed human families calmly evacuating, children playing games while waiting for transport ships, elderly citizens volunteering to stay behind to maintain defensive systems, scientists working peacefully in laboratories preparing the final protocols. The footage showed no panic, no chaos, just calm acceptance. The humans were prepared to sacrifice everything. A voice echoed through the command center. It was Elder Vornath, transmitted from the Galactic Council. High Commander Thrix, the Kashari Confederation has positioned a relief fleet at the edge of this system. If Earth is destroyed, we will consider it genocide. Other council members have joined us. End this now. Thrix looked at his tactical display. His fleet had taken 40% casualties. Earth's defenses were still active. The humans had demonstrated they would rather die than surrender. And now, the Galactic Council was intervening. He had two choices: continue the attack and face mutual destruction, plus galactic condemnation, or withdraw and accept defeat. All ships, he said slowly, each word bitter, withdraw to safe distance. Cease fire. The Draxian fleet began pulling back. On Earth, no one celebrated. They had survived, but the war was not over. Admiral Sung Min knew this was only the beginning. The Draxians had attacked Earth. Now humanity would respond. Not defensively. Offensively. It was time to show the galaxy what humans did to those who threatened their home. High Commander Thrix sat in his quarters aboard the Dominator. His fleet had withdrawn from Earth, but the humiliation burned. He had been forced to retreat by primitives. Worse, the Galactic Council had intervened, making his defeat public. A message arrived from the Draxian High Council. They wanted explanations. They wanted to know how the mighty Draxian Empire had failed to conquer a species barely a century into space travel. Thrix began composing his response. Then the attack started. In the Draxian home system, a supply convoy suddenly lost power. All ships went dark simultaneously. When backup systems activated, the crews found messages in their computers. We are everywhere. We are watching. We remember New Busan. The messages were signed simply, Humanity. Fleet Admiral In Su commanded the human strike force from his flagship, the Retribution. He was 55, a ruthless strategist who had spent the last month preparing for this moment. While the Draxian fleet attacked Earth, he had positioned half of humanity's military in deep space, hidden and waiting. All units, begin Operation Payback, he ordered. Intelligence Director Mi Kyung, activate all sleeper cells. Mi Kyung smiled from her station. She was 48. And for the last 5 years she had been infiltrating the Draxian Empire. Human agents disguised as traders and merchants had spread throughout Draxian space. They looked like other species. They spoke local languages. They waited, now they acted. On 40 Draxian worlds, infrastructure began failing. Power grids fluctuated. Water treatment plants malfunctioned. Communication networks dropped offline. Nothing fatal but enough to cause chaos. The Draxians scrambled to respond, but every time they fixed one problem, 2 more appeared. A Draxian supply officer discovered the truth by accident. While investigating a power failure, he found a human agent working as a maintenance technician. The agent had been there for 3 years. He spoke perfect Draxian. He had Draxian friends. No one had suspected him. How many of you are there? The officer demanded. The human agent smiled. Enough. Reports flooded into Draxian military command. Humans were everywhere. They had been infiltrating for years. They knew Draxian systems, Draxian protocols, Draxian weaknesses. The Empire realized they were not fighting an external enemy. The enemy was already inside. Fleet Admiral In Su's strike force emerged from hiding. They did not attack the Draxian homeworld. Instead, they targeted colonies. But unlike the Draxians, the humans offered terms. Captain Dayun broadcast the message to the first Draxian colony they reached. Attention, colony designation Kepler 7. You have 1 hour to surrender. All military personnel will be taken prisoner. All civilians will be unharmed. If you surrender now, your colony will be occupied but intact. If you resist, we will respond as you responded to our colonies. The Draxian colony commander listened to the message. He had heard what happened at New Busan. He had heard about human resistance tactics. He had heard about civilians choosing death over capture, taking enemies with them. He surrendered within 30 minutes. Colony after colony fell to humanity. Most surrendered immediately. The few that resisted learned why surrender had been the better option. Human forces did not hold back. They used every tactic the Draxians had used against them. Mining charges, improvised weapons, psychological warfare. The difference was that humans had practiced these tactics for months. They had perfected them. Within 2 weeks, 20 Draxian colonies had fallen. The Empire was collapsing faster than anyone had predicted. High Commander Thrix ordered his fleet to defend the homeworld, but his own officers were questioning his leadership. Captain Da-Un led a small strike force to the Draxian homeworld's orbit. Her mission was not to invade. It was to demonstrate She targeted the orbital defense platforms, destroying 3 in quick succession. Then she broadcast a message. Admiral Sung Min appeared on every screen in the Draxian home system. His expression was cold, professional. "People of the Draxian Empire, this is Admiral Sung Min of Earth's combined fleet. We could destroy your orbital defenses completely. We could bombard your homeworld. We could do to you what you attempted to do to us." He paused, letting that sink in. "But we choose not to. Humanity does not fight to conquer. We fight to ensure our survival. We fight to ensure no one can threaten us again. Your leadership made a terrible mistake. They attacked our homes, our families, our people. Now you face the consequences. We offer these terms. High Commander Thrix must surrender command. The Draxian Empire must withdraw from all occupied human territory. Reparations will be paid for our destroyed colonies. In return, we will cease offensive operations. Your homeworld will be spared. Your people will survive. You have 24 hours to respond. If you refuse, we will show you what total war truly means. The choice is yours." The broadcast ended. Throughout the Draxian Empire, people watched in shock. The humans had proven they could destroy the homeworld, but they offered terms. They offered survival. On the Dominator, High Commander Thrix met with his senior officers. Half of them argued for continued resistance. The other half wanted to accept human terms. The debate grew heated. Voices were raised. Accusations flew. Then Admiral Corax, Thrix's second-in-command, made a decision. "Security, arrest High Commander Thrix. By the authority of the Draxian High Council, I am assuming command." Thrix reached for his weapon, but guards were faster. They disarmed him and led him away. He shouted protests, threats, promises of punishment. No one listened. Admiral Corax sat in the command chair. He had served the Empire for 40 years. He had fought in dozens of campaigns. He knew military reality when he saw it. The humans had defeated them. Not through superior technology, not through greater numbers, through determination, creativity, and the willingness to sacrifice everything. He opened a channel to the human fleet. "Admiral Sung Min, this is Admiral Corax of the Draxian military. We accept your terms. We request immediate ceasefire and negotiations." Sung Min appeared on the screen. "Terms accepted. All human forces will cease offensive operations. We will meet at the Galactic Council to formalize the agreement." Throughout human space, the message went out: ceasefire. The war was over. Humanity had won, but the celebrations were muted. Too many had died. New Busan was still a radioactive crater. 4 other colonies had been destroyed. Thousands of soldiers would never come home. In the occupied Draxian colonies, human forces began the difficult work of occupation. Commander Bora oversaw the transition on one such world. Her orders were clear: treat civilians with respect, maintain order, but demonstrate absolute control. A young Draxian approached her one day. He was barely an adult, maybe 20 in human years. "Why did you spare us?" he asked. "We attacked your homes. We killed your people. Why not destroy us like we tried to destroy you?" Bora looked at him for a long moment. "Because we fight to survive, not to conquer. Because your leaders made the mistake, not you. Because we want the galaxy to know that humans can be merciful in victory. But mostly because we want everyone to understand something important." "What?" the young Draxian asked. "That we could have destroyed you but chose not to. That restraint is also a form of power. That mercy is not weakness. Remember this war. Remember what happened when someone threatened humanity. But also remember that we gave you a chance to live, to rebuild, to learn." The young Draxian nodded slowly. "Elder Vornath tried to warn us." "Yes," Bora agreed. "He did. Perhaps next time someone will listen." At the Galactic Council, Ambassador Hyon Wu prepared for the peace negotiations. Elder Vornath approached him before the session began. "Ambassador, I must apologize," the old Kashari said. "I tried to prevent this war, but I failed." Hyon Wu shook his head. "You did not fail, Elder Vornath. You gave them every opportunity to avoid this. They chose not to listen. That is not your fault." "What will humanity do now?" Vornath asked. "You have proven your strength. You have defeated a major galactic power. What comes next?" "We rebuild," Hyon Wu replied. "We help the Draxians rebuild too. We show the galaxy that humans can be trusted, that we fight only when necessary, that we prefer peace to war. But we also make it clear that anyone who threatens us will face the same fate as the Draxians." Fornath nodded slowly. Humanity has changed the balance of galactic power. Other species will be watching. Some will fear you. Others will seek alliance. Let them watch, Hyunwoo said quietly. Let them see that humanity keeps its word, honors its commitments, and protects its allies. But also let them see what happens to those who attack us. We tried to warn them. The Draxians did not listen. Perhaps others will be wiser. The peace conference began. The terms were harsh but fair. The Draxian Empire was dissolved. Its territories gained independence. Human colonies received reparations. Most importantly, a new defensive alliance formed, the Terran Coalition. Humans at its core, but open to any species that wanted mutual defense and cooperation. Within months, a dozen species had joined. Within a year, over 50, not because they feared humanity, but because they respected what humanity represented. The refusal to be conquered, the creativity to overcome obstacles, and the wisdom to show mercy and victory. Captain Dayun stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, looking at Earth through the viewport. The blue planet had survived. Humanity had survived. They had proven themselves.